We have to read it one more time. Yes, okay. So this is problem 63 on page 478. So let's take notes when we read. 1985, it was 110,000. In 2005, it was 145,000. What was the annual growth rate, which is R, between 1985 and 2005? Assume that the value continued to grow by the same percentage. What was the value? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So obviously we are given in this situation what? We're given two ordered pairs. Very good. Two ordered pairs. And they are I cannot put the name of a year in the problem, in any problem. Perfect. Excellent. That's the initial value. Awesome. Great job. 110. Perfect. And very good. Awesome. Great job. 145. Good. So how do we continue? So the accumulated value, right? So they're not giving, unless I'm missing something, they're not giving us in the problem any particular formula. The following exercises use a compound interest formula, but that's not the case because we're not compounding interest here. So I'm assuming that this is P e to RT. And what does this mean? This means that the accumulated value is increasing all the time. So the initial value, so A equals A0 times e to RT, because this is not a principal, so the initial value is 110. And after 20 years, we're going to have this. So I just changed the notation from the principal, because we're not depositing money, into the original value, A0. A0 initial value. Okay. So the first point will tell us 110 equals the initial times e to the rate, but this time times 0. Because that's x and that's y. So we get that the initial value is 110, as we knew we didn't have to do anything here, 110. But now the question is, I have to look at the second point, and while I replace, not there, sorry, I changed it, right? So while I replace t by 20, the accumulated value now is 145,000. So 145,000 equals 110 times e to r, which we are looking for, which we do not have, times 20 years. My colleagues selected this problem, although in my opinion this should have been after we solve equations that are exponential and log. So let's see how we proceed. It should not be here. This problem should be in the next, after we finish log expressions or functions and we get to equations. It should not be in this section, but they selected it, so let's take a look. We're going to have plenty of examples like this in the next sections. What do you think we should do first? And the answer is always clean it up. How will you clean this one up? Exactly, dividing by this quantity. So 145, there are 3 zeros, over 110 equals e to 20 times r. We don't have enough information. As I said, this problem should not be in this section, but I just wanted to look at it because they suggested it at this point in time. But that's, yes, Lauren?
Don't you just take the natural log?
Well, of course, but we don't know that, right? At this point, we haven't even talked about natural log. So I truly believe that we should leave it. Yes, we have to apply natural log and then find r. But we do not know how to do that just yet, because we haven't even talked about natural log. We haven't talked about exponential, we haven't graphed the log function, let alone the natural log function. So I think we should come back to it when we have enough information on how to solve such equations. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so please remind me, I will not forget, but if I say please remind me, I know I will not forget. So later, we're not equipped right now with all the information we need to solve for the rate. There were two zealots to do that at this point in time. Any questions? Any? Yes? Bailey, go ahead. Any questions?
So you said that if 110,000 has the constant, or no, that was the initial.
The initial.
The initial.
So then in the formula I have to plug in time equals 0
Oh,
and a0. That's the first point. And then I plug in the second point. When the time is 20, then the value would be 145,000. Better? Yes? Okay, so we do have two special exponential functions. F of x equals 10 to the x, and f of x equals e to the x. This one is called common exponential function, and this one is called natural exponential function. They both have a base greater than 1. Which one do you think will have a graph closer to the y-axis? 10 to the x or e to the x? Remember, e is 2.8, 2.71. Yes. So remember, this is the graph of an exponential function with a base greater than 1. Base greater than 1, base greater than 1, it will be this shape. But the question is, which of these two, this one or this one, will be, for example, e to the x? Careful. If I raise 2 to x or I raise 10 to x, which one would be bigger? Of course. So 10 to the x will be closer.
E equals what?
E, okay, let's take a look at the graphing. I was going to show you anyway. So let's take a look. First of all, why are these so important? They're right here. You see 10 to the x? It has a special key on its own, 10 to the x. And you see e to the x, special key on its own. Both are activated with the second key, okay? 10 to the x and e to the x. And now let's graph both. So 10 to the x will be the first one. And e to the x, right here, to the x. And I also promised to show you what e is. So second and e, which is the division symbol, and press enter. And you'll see what it is. 2.71828, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So now let's go back and graph. I will choose the standard viewing window. Here comes the first function, which is 10 to the x. Here comes the second function, which is e to the x. Which one was closer to the y-axis? The first or the second? Because 10 to the x is more, it's a bigger number than e to the x. That's why e to the x
Oh, I got it.
right? E to the x increases but slower than 10 to the x. Better? Good. Why do you think that this function is called the natural exponential function? Why do you think that e to the x is called the natural exponential function? And by the way, what does e represent? We know it's a number.
Yes.
It's no. The reason is this was called e to the x. First of all, why e and not b or c or d? Well, because this stands for Euler. This is the mathematician who determined this number. Like, how did they determine pi? How did they come up with pi? Why did they call it pi? No. So here's the reason why. First of all, how was pi determined? They took different circles. And whenever I talk about that, I have my own little thread. Now, when you talk, I'll stop. Maybe that would help. So for this circle, millions of years ago, I don't know when, they determined somehow, they measured the circumference. And then they measured the diameter. And they divided the circumference by the diameter, and they got 3.14, blah, blah, blah. Then for this circle, somehow they measured the circumference, and they measured the diameter, and they divided them. And they got 3.14, blah, blah, blah. And then they measured the circumference of this circle, and then they measured the diameter, and they divided them, and they got 3.14, blah, 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 blah. So that's how pi was created. Euler's number, E, which is 2.71, blah, 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 comes in nature all the time. That's why a lot of real-life applications use E. And all of a sudden they said, okay, let's call this one natural. It comes naturally all the time in nature and in all applications with real-life situations. So that's how they came up with that, with a natural. Now, we do have like 3 minutes left, and I would like to work on one more problem, and then I'll stop. So, okay, so use properties of rational exponents to solve the compound interest formula for the interest rate R. Problem 36 on page 477. So we have the formula A, which is P 1 plus R over N raised to NT. They're asking us to find and solve for R. Well, the first thing I would do, I would definitely divide by P, and I'll write A over P equals 1 plus R over N raised to NT. And what will be my next step? Somehow I have to remove this in order to get to R. So how would I remove that?
1 by NT.
Say it again.
1 by NT.
Taking the nth t root from both sides, whatever that is. I have no idea because I don't have the numbers. So then nt applied to A over P equals 1 plus R over N. I'm getting closer. What will I do next?
Multiply by R.
No, first of all, I have to subtract 1 first, right? So I have the nth root of A over P minus 1 equals R over N. And then, yes, I completely agree, multiply both sides by N. So N, parentheses, nth t A over P minus 1 in parentheses. You don't have to distribute. So I'm not expecting you to start working on chapter 6 today, but I'm expecting you to finish everything and bring more questions. I love your questions from WebAssign. Bring your questions to class. I would like us to wrap up chapter 5. And then when it comes to chapter 6, once we are done with it, I think we should have our test too. So, when is it scheduled? When did I schedule the next test?
Not next Thursday, but the Thursday after.
Okay, well, it may happen the following week, not next, not next. We'll see. We'll see how fast we can finish this up. Yes,
For our
Connor?
homework assignments on the other side, should we just complete chapter 5?
Just chapter 5. And let me know if there is anything that you would like to look at. Yes,
Do we have to do any
chapter 5. Just chapter. No. I think we have to practice more. And I'm just going to sit down and look at that.
the chapter 5 website so located like synthetic division?
They said if you have synthetic division there, I can show it to you. But for some reason they said no synthetic division.
Does the question was saying use synthetic division?
Oh, they said in the handout, if it says use synthetic division, then use the other one. If you remember, yeah, it says that. Yeah.
So
Yes, Mike?
for test 2,
Yes.
what are the chapters that we cover?
Everything we studied from test 1, including chapter 6.
Okay, so all the stuff from test 1 is included in test 2, or
One more
everything
time.
after?
So when we finish test 1, from test 1, including chapter 6.
Okay.
But everything else, everything is there. It's gonna pop up somehow. But no, the test 2 will cover from the end of test 1 till including chapter 6.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when we're doing it in class,
Yes.
like I'm like getting through it.
Yes.
I don't know if it's because we're going too fast, but it's just not sticking. I'm like reviewing, I'm practicing at home, but nothing is
But
sticking.
are you redoing the problems we do in class
Like-
several times till you understand and able to do them on your own?
Like I'll get stuck on it home, and then like
But that's why you have. But that's why you have the video.
well
The
on-
video only helps so much.
like in like on the ebook, right? There's like some videos that like show you what to do, but like I don't know what it is, but I don't know if like in high school it was a lot different where you learned because there was a lot about like you learn this and then we would do like independent work and we would like work it out like amongst ourselves and then bring questions up. And then here it's just like the lecture and then we do everything as a class. So I don't know if it's because like I'm always like having like shared brain power that I'm not really thinking of myself sometimes and I forget things.
What do you think I
Or-
should change?
I'm not saying I
No,
think your
but I'm-
teaching style is good.
No,
I just,
but if there is something that I could improve, I'll do it.
Go a bit slower, maybe
Well,
some group
I,
work.
I know this is accelerated and we have to move
It
at
is
a
accelerated.
pace, and I did agree to
If
go
I don't
accelerated.
get soon to trig, we're not going to be able to go through
Yeah.
trig. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between the 145, 146 class and this one, 151. It's the trig.
Because like there will be times where like, all right, I got this. Like I know like how to do this, and then we move on to something else, and then now I'm focused on learning that, and then I fall behind on the thing I just got comfortable with.
That's why, if you remember on the first day of classes, I said, make sure that this is the right class for you.
Mhm.
Because the other option is slower pace, 145, 146.
Yeah.
These two make up 6 credits instead of 4,
Mhm.
but it is a slower pace, 2 semesters instead of 1.
Mhm.
That's why I said that the first day
Yeah.
of classes.
Well,
And that's
I
why,
did take pre-calc in high
Right.
school, and I got a B in that. So I was like,
Right.
all right, I can probably handle this, and like it does come
no,
back.
I'm not saying it's your case. I'm not
Mhm.
saying you cannot do it. I'm just saying that's why I said it on the first day of
Yeah, I got
classes.
you.
So that's why I was hoping that some of my students would say, I think that if this is like that, maybe I should take the 2 semester
Mhm.
sequence instead of 1 semester.
Mhm.
That's why I'm trying to do as many problems as possible so you have examples to work with. And I'm trying to select, I would have done other things too, but I'm trying to select the problems that they already selected for us. So I stay within what the department recommended. So I don't go outside of that box. Because this is the first time I teach it from this book. I don't have experience with this book, but I've taught this class for 20 years. So I don't have any issues.
And you've taught calculus.
Right,
before,
of
So
course.
you already know.
So I know
what
what's
to do.
next.
what's
Yeah.
next.
But the problem is that if we don't get to trig in a timely fashion and we don't,
We're gonna fall behind.
no, you're gonna have difficulties later.
Mhm.
So that's my only, that's why I'm asking my students to bring questions to class. So if they find something, and you will always find something like you did with a mixture problem. I didn't get the chance to do a mixture problem. So that's why it was excellent that you brought it up today.
Thank you.
So again, I'm open to changes. So if you say, other than the pace, I don't know what to do with the pace, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, like we have to get things done. We have to cover
And
things. or else
also,
we'll-
I take one full session to review before each test. Then if I go at a slower pace, then I will not be able to review.
Mhm.
So we have to balance that somehow.
I just think that like a lot of times it's just like a lot of shared brain power, which is good, and like it's a lot of good conversations that we have. But then it's just like I'm not using my own brain power in those situations, and I don't realize it until it gets put in front of me, and then I go blank.
Right, that's why I post the videos. So once you watch the videos several times, there is no way you cannot master the particular topic we presented. I don't think there is. That's why I do that, and I post, and it takes hours and hours to do this.
Oh,
But I'm doing it because I want to help my students.
Yeah, yes, you
Nobody's asking me to do that.
Mhm.
I'm the only one who does that.
Mhm.
I don't think there is anyone else in the entire school. So once you go step by step, again, you stop the video, you do the next step, you stop the
Go
video,
back
you
over
do the
the
next,
notes.
you'll be able to teach this.
Yep.
Because you're gonna see the same thing, and I also post this so you can download them or
Mhm.
save
Yeah,
them
I've
or,
used them before.
yeah. We're down to about 9 weeks before the final exam.
And we have how many more tests in between?
We have 3 tests. Test 2, test 3, test 4, and the final.
Okay. I got this. I can do it.
Yeah, I know you can. That's why please watch those videos. You don't have to watch the whole thing. So for example, from everything that you see here, watch what you're interested in. Maybe this was very clear, the second example or the third example, forget it. Just scroll to exponential or
Mhm.
scroll to whatever, the graph. Because it's almost 2 hours long. But we had the quiz today, so it was, it's less than 2 hours today.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So come to class early or stay after class if you want to work with me on anything.
Okay. Well, I have a class after this,
Oh,
so
you
I
have a
won't be late.
class.
But I could probably come to class earlier.
Yeah,
If you don't have any classes.
I don't have any class, but today there was a group here, and I don't know why they occupied a room. Or there was no class. I have no idea what they were doing here.
Okay, cool.
So there was a group. I got here at 11:15, and there was a group, and I had to wait for them till like 5 minutes before we started. Yeah, for them to get out. I don't know what they were doing. I mean, I was here. They were presenting something, but I wasn't paying attention. So.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I'll be here. I'll always try to be early
Okay.
for you and others who need help. Yes.
Okay, so I'm really just about the quiz because I studied and I got probably like a 0. So could I try the other version?
If I give you that option, don't I have to give the same options to everyone else? Will that be fair? If I gave Caleb, let's say, another option and I don't give it to you, wouldn't you be upset?
Then you can give it to him.
Wouldn't you be upset if somebody else
Have a nice weekend.
you too, if somebody else will have more options than you did? I cannot do that. I care about each and every one of my students. I cannot care about
But I
one.
studied for this and you gave me some other question.
I showed you what we studied last time. Do you have my calculator? Thanks. I showed you what we studied last time. So everything we covered last week is there. So please review each and every problem we covered in class. As many
I
times
did,
as
I
you
even printed out your notes. I went to the math lab before here and I didn't even get to eat anything.
I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry. So please redo the problems we do in class more than once.
Enter your password, then press pound. You have one new first voice message. Hi, Monica. This is Donna Cancerella at 1021 Redwood Realty. Steve Heyman gave me your name and told me that you were interested in learning a little bit, maybe more, about the real estate market and listing your condo, I believe. I am at this number that I just called you on, 202-341-2685. If it's more convenient to email, my email address is super easy. It's Donna P at C21redwood.com. Donna P at C21redwood.com. Thanks a bunch. Message erased. End of new message. Please leave your message for